You'll never see like a Christian go find a debunk video and then try to debunk it. You'll never see just somebody that thinks someone like me is wrong, who then goes and does what we do. And for me, what's even crazier is that someone like me, okay, so I'm going to go into the history of Hollywood. And I'm basically going into it blind. Right? I don't know. I mean, I've looked up little pieces before. But I've never like I could be going into this knowing completely failing. I could be going into this setting myself up to just completely fail. And you don't see people doing that on the other side of things. Most people will do some sort of preliminary investigation before they go live just to make sure they're not in any sort of trouble with it. And so I'm decided I'm going to go just put in Hollywood and put in Wikipedia and see what I can find. Hollywood, Los Angeles, a neighborhood in Hollywood, in California. Hollywood, a mentonym for cinema in the United States. So I'm gonna click on cinema in the United States. Oh my God, this is a very fun and interesting distraction. Looking forward to hearing your thoughts on it. I'll hang on the stream as long as I can. And you are right. It is. It's somewhat of a distraction because the reality is, as long as we're not talking about the genocide happening right now and continuously happening, we are being distracted. So I'll give you that one. But yeah, so I clicked on Cinema of the United States. The Cinema of the United States consisting mainly of major film studios, also known as metonimously, METONIMOUSLY. That's interesting. Lydia, what's happening? Metoniously as Hollywood. Metoniously is a figure of speech in which a concept is referred to by the name of something closely associated with that thing or concept. Okay, so that doesn't make any sense because the example they give is the Pentagon. Hi, Lydia. The Pentagon, you can understand it's shaped like a pentagon, so they call it the Pentagon. I give it that, but why would Hollywood be called metoniously? Along with some independent films, has a large effect on the global film industry since the early 20th century. But that's not when cameras were invented. Breezy Wolf, what's up? Main distributors. I wonder how much Disney pays to be first. Because it's clearly not in alphabetical order. Comcast is below Disney. So let's find out. Well, let's see. Let's keep going with this and then we'll go back to something else. Bitang, what's happening? Hope you guys are here to learn something. Classic Hollywood cinema, which developed from 1910 to 1962, is still typical of most films made in America today. From Michigan, casting spells with the wood from the holly trees. Yeah, that's sort of what like the goofball explanation is. Casting spells from the wood of the holly trees, right? Yeah, that's sort of that's like conspiracy light, right? That's the conspiracy you're allowed to think. Because you know, the whole Hollywood spell, that's a pretty standard thing. Like, a lot of people know that. So, interesting. You know, who's to say it's wrong? I'm just saying it's an interesting adaptation. Well, Frenchman Auguste, Auguste, I don't know, and Louis Lumiere, 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 were generally credited with the birth of modern cinema. American cinema soon came to be a dominant force in the emerging industry. Well, that's interesting. So, as much as I want to keep going, you from Texas? No. Somebody is on here asking me why I'm not working. Why aren't you working? Unless you are, and your job is to troll. Because I don't have a job trolling people. Because, you know, I'm not part of that little group. So wait, let's see. Auguste and Louis Luminaire. The Luminaire brothers. It's a weird, what a happen, you know, what a coincidental name. The Luminaires. Or Lumieres. Auguste Marie Louis Nicolas Lumiere, October 9th, 1862 to April 10th, 1954, and Louis Jean Lumiere. Why does the first one get 5 names? October 5th, 1864 to June 6th, 1948. Younger brother didn't live as long. I'm from Indonesia. It's strange. It's strange how every time I go live, like, think about this. Just think about it. Every time I go live, for some reason, my feed gets broadcast to the Polynesian Islands, Indonesia, the Philippines, things like that. Make that make sense? And I get a huge boost, right? I get up to like 20 people are here. And I would assume a good portion of them can't even speak English, Palestine or Israel. Well, I mean, Palestine, yes, but it's so much bigger than Free Palestine, right? Because Palestine is almost yesterday's news. Now it's Lebanon, now it's Iran, now it's Syria, now it's you know. So it's much more of an end Israel thing than it is Free Palestine. Palestine's never been free. It was always ruled by, you know, some sort of monarch, some Christian or Muslim bullshit. The British. You know, I don't know what Free Palestine even means. What are we talking about? When are we talking about? When was there a Free Palestine? They were French manufacturers of photography equipment, best known for their cinematography, but it's spelled differently, motion picture system, and the short films they produced between 1895 and 1905, which places them among the earliest filmmakers. But not the earliest. Why don't we get to know who the earliest was? The screening of a single film on March 22nd, 1895 for around 200 members of the Société d'Encouragement pour l'Industrie Nationale, Society for Development of the National Industry in Paris, was probably the first presentation of projected film. But that's not true. Do you like Palestinian? I can't say I like it. Do I believe they have the right to exist? Absolutely. Do they have the right to exist without the fear of everyday bombardments from piece of shit Jews? Absolutely. Again, it's not about the Palestinians. It's about removing the Jews. Because the Jews are the problem. Not Palestine. Palestine isn't the problem. The Jews are the problem. The Jews who happen to run Hollywood, and that's what I'm trying to get to the to the bottom of here. Their first commercial public screening on December 28th, 1895, for around 40 paying visitors and invited relations, has traditionally been regarded as the birth of cinema. Either the techniques or the business models of earlier filmmakers proved to be less viable than the breakthrough presentations of the Lumineers. It's either the techniques or the business models. What? What kind of crazy shit is that? History. The Lumiere brothers were born in Besançon, France, to Charles Anthony Lumiere, 1840 to 1911, and Jean and Janine Josephine Castille Lumiere, who were married in 1861 and moved to Besançon, setting up a small photographic portrait studio. Right there. Okay, so somehow we have this accurate history of not just them, but their parents, and they happen to be in film as well. So these Lumiere brothers were inspired, I guess, by their parents? Not sure what sick is. But here were born Auguste, Louis, and their daughter Jeanine, or Jean, Jeanne, Jeanne. So she's a junior. They named their daughter after their mother. I didn't think that was a thing. I've only known one person in my life like that, and she was a really weirdo. They moved to Lyon in 1870, where their two other daughters were born, Melina and Francine. Augusta and Louise both attended Le Martiniere, the largest technical school in Lyon. In in the 1870s, there was more than one technical school. Thank you, Batang. I appreciate it. Or Haika, whatever your name is. I'm not sure. I appreciate all the support. I mean, let's make it backfire on them. The fact that they keep kicking me out to the Philippines and Indonesia and shit like that, thinking you guys aren't worth it, like you guys aren't a threat. Yet it's those people that seem to care the most. You bring up Palestine to anyone from over there and they're like, fuck those Israelis. So you keep kicking me out there. They keep kicking me out to if I could get big over there or in one of those regions, that would make things unstoppable. So let's make it backfire on them. All the people from over there, help, share. Go get your free download, free music, www.the-bilderberg, BILDERBERG-group.com. It's music. It's free. Go get it. Go listen to it. All you have to do is put zero in the pay. When I ask you how much you want to pay for it, put zero, and it'll be zero. You could put $100,000 in there if you wanted to. But all we ask is that you share it with somebody else. That's the only payment we ask. Share it with somebody else. And it's the music, man. The music is what's going to make, that's how we cross all the cultures. That's how we cross all the borders. They kick me to the Philippines where half of the people can't understand me, at least not fully, because I speak fast compared to what they can understand, and I use slang that they're not used to, and I don't even know I'm doing it. But if they had the music, they can just rewind it. They can translate it and figure out what's being said and then get behind something that probably matters a lot. I know none of my songs are going to be about Diddy parties and putting on gold and diamonds and all the hoes and the bitches, and it's not what I do. If you like those kind of songs, you won't like what we do. If you like mindless shit that you nod yes to, the worst things ever said, fucking bitches, fuck hoes, kill them all, kill all those niggas, yeah, nigga, yeah. If that's what you like to do, it's not the right place for you. But, like I said, I mean, they're gonna do it. They are doing it. It's obvious. I don't know anybody else that happens to. I don't know anybody else that goes live and suddenly there are multiple people from the Philippines, Indonesia, you know, all those Laos, all those little places over there. Why would that happen if it wasn't by design? The Lumiere brothers were born in Baton. Oh, we already did this. Largest technical school in Lyon. They patented several significant processes leading up to their film camera. Most notably, film perforations, originally implemented by Émile Reynaud, as a means of advancing the film through the camera and projector. So, their most notable contribution was actually somebody else's contribution. The original cinematography had been patented by Leon Guillaume. What? Oh yeah, William Guillaume Bouley. I'll throw it down to you, dude. By Leon Guillaume Bouley on February 12th, 1892. So who is this guy? Oh. So when you look this guy up, that's what you get. Leon Guillaume Bouley, 1872-1932, was a French inventor who created the word cinematograph. Cinematograph. Am I not saying that right? There's no E on it. Cinematograph. After devising cinematography or chronophotography devices, Bouley applied a patent on a reversible device of photography and optics for the analysis and synthesis of motions, calling it the cinematography Leon Bouley on February 12, 1892. On December 27, 1893, he shortened the name of his device to the cinematography. Bouley device, this is the Bouley device. So the only picture that's available is blurry. Somebody couldn't have been bothered to stand still and take a non-blurry picture. Can't even read the number at the top. It's weird. I can actually see it clearer looking through the camera than I can just looking at it. 16684, I believe. The device is able to both shoot and project film. That's interesting. It uses a sensitive film without perforations, and all principles required by cinematography are available. It uses a sensitive film without perforations, and all principles required by cinematography are available. Most notably, the film's jerky movement through the camera's gate is synchronized with the shutter. These two devices are conserved in the French Conservatoire Nationale des Arts et Métiers. In 1894, Boulez could not pay the fees for his patents, and the name cinematography became available again. He sold his rights to the device and its name to the Lumiere brothers, who applied it to their own devices in 1895. And then that's that. What's up, Kyle? What you doing? Come here. Come here, Kyle. Come here. Come here. What's the matter? What's wrong? You okay? He was freaked out downstairs. Something scared him or something. So this is the hardest thing, right? So I'm basically trying to debunk myself, right? I'm basically trying to debunk what I'm told. And that's these two are fighting. She just hit her, and she was like, "What, bitch?" She wasn't even expecting it, and she just hit her.
Leave Cal alone.
But like this is one of those crazy things where no matter what I click on, I'm just gonna keep going in these weird circles. So the narrative it just wraps itself up, but you never really learn anything. So that's the guy that that's all I can find. How this guy invented this thing, how he put this together, and when all that took place, well, we don't get to know that.
How?
The cinematography, a 3-in-1 device that could record, develop, and project motion pictures, was further developed by the Lumieres. Think about that. This guy invented a device that could record, develop, and project film prior to 1890 something. Like, that's the case. Why were there ever, dark rooms and all that other shit? You had to be in the dark room. Can you hand me that piece of towel? Why would you need... If this guy was capable of creating such a one-stop-fits-all kind of a device in the 18-somethings, again, we're not really sure because it doesn't give us too many details.
Did you guys take the garbage out?
Yeah. Why is it like this? Like, what took it so long? Why does it seem like if you watch TV now or you watch Hollywood now, the special effects in movies are butt compared to what I grew up watching? Like the late 90s, that seemed like the best time. And that's surprising to me, and I don't understand it. But like one of the shows my wife likes to watch is that stupid ass Blue Bloods. And that show is, 2000 late teens, 2020s and shit. And whenever they're in the car and they're driving around, it doesn't even look like retro they're trying to be retro with it. It just looks fake. It looks fake and stupid. How many times are they going to try to do this same show? The Office in the medical community. I remember that show, 12 Items or Less. That was great. I wish that would have stuck around. But see, my wife will watch this goddamn propaganda bullshit, same episodes over and 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 over. So weird. They're not even good. They're bad. No, they're not. The acting's bad. The writing's bad. These are bad shows. They always require somebody is too stupid to like, so that the crime can happen, you know. Oh, the person just happened to drop the piece of paper with their name on it. They were meticulous about everything else, but that one little piece of paper with their name, their address, the plan, you know, who they were going to kill, how they were going to do it, all that, they just happened to drop that. It gets stupid. I hate all these shows. I hate these shows that try to tell us, you know, one, they try to tell us the cops are good guys and they're on our side. And two, they manipulate you. These are convincing you not to commit crime. Because you watch these shows and you think that the cops have the capabilities that these guys have.
Well, that's a good thing then.
And they don't.
Be committing crimes.
They don't. Well, I mean,
people should be afraid to commit crimes.
Sure. But they also they also love to, especially like Hawaii 5-0 and shit. They love to poke at conspiracy theorists and conspiracy theories and things like that. They love to try to make those people sound stupid.
But they don't, though, because they have Jerry on their team, and he is like the ultimate.
Right, but he's the fat, goofy guy who is proven right, but he's still fat and goofy and never taken seriously.
He's the most intelligent of the group.
But they don't. They do, but they don't. They do as the show needs them to. But every time he tells them something, they're like, no, that's not true, until they have to see it for themselves. But this whole idea of like, it's basically a confirmation not to revolt, not to do anything, because the government, they have all these things available to you, or to get you. That you could, every time you commit a crime, just anytime you do anything, you're just shedding DNA. You're shedding skin cells that they can collect, and hairs, and all of these other things that they can find if they want to. And if they do have that capability and they are able to do that, then why do we live in a society where, you know, murders take place every day that go unsolved? Of course, when it's a Jew that gets killed, like Samantha Woll, and they want to pin it on a black guy, you then find out, oh, well, they were able to go around and gather up all the security cameras from all over the place, any security camera from any spot. They knocked on every house. They got every, like, when they want to, they do.
If people don't think that the government can't tap into their Ring networks, they're crazy.
Ring networks, anything.
Alexa.
I think they can tap into your cameras.
Of course.
Whether your camera is online or not, they can tap into it.
They can go in and turn
9/11
Alexa on if you've turned it off for some reason.
9/11 proved that. 9/11, we're talking about, you know, still basically in the 19th century or in the 20th century. We're talking about still.
But that was before smartphones.
The tail end of the night, right? All that shit. And yet, there were supposedly over 100 cameras pointing at the Pentagon at the time of the incident. And within a half an hour, all of those locations had FBI agents at them rounding up whatever security cameras they had. A lot of places didn't even know they had them. You know, their security camera might happen to catch up in the top corner. You can see the airspace where the plane was supposed to be. So, you know, you have to ask yourself, how did they know where every single camera was if they can't tap into them? Something's going on. But when you say that and you say, okay, that's what they're capable of. They're capable of everything in this NCIS show. They're capable of everything in any of the shows you watch, right? Where are all the videos from the Trump shooting? Where are all the cell phones? One of the things that they used to tell us all the time, and I thought this was an amazing technology, and it totally makes sense to me. is that they can create 3D models of any sort of incident by just taking all the going to social media and rounding up all the pictures that people took from that same area at the same time and then superimposing them together to create a 3D map, a 3D narrative. And that, again, that doesn't seem like that's that far-fetched. So why don't they do that now? Why haven't I heard about anybody even suggesting that happen when it comes to anything? Like the only time
It's not cheap technology, and
what do you mean it's not cheap technology? So listen, look at how my wife
software.
Her programming just kicks in, and again, I'm not trying to be mean, but says stupid things to account for, to fill that hole.
It's not a stupid
It
thing.
is a stupid thing.
There's
If they have
departments in little ball hunk cities that can't afford
if
any
they have
sort of technology.
if they have a program that's available that the government has, why would other government agencies have to buy said program from the government? It's already developed, it already exists, and it already runs.
Because the states and federal are separate. They would make the states buy it from the feds.
But why would they? If it's not some sort of scam, why, like, if I am president of the United States, well, I'm going to say, okay, every state has access to whatever federal technologies they need to make life better for the people. And we're also talking about something that's very old by now. Like what I'm talking about having seen is TV shows and reruns that are from the early 2000s. So we're talking about 20 years or so.
How old is that movie? Enemy of the State did it. That was the first time I saw that.
Okay, that's in the 90s.
Is that the 90s?
Yeah.
I don't know.
So we're talking about 30, 40 years ago. And that's them making a movie about it, meaning that's
just used in the movie.
Right, but that's what I'm saying. They're making a movie with it. That means they're finally letting us know they have it. And that's just the first time you saw it. Yeah, that doesn't mean that's the first time. But what that shows you is that technology, like no technology that's developed in the fucking 90s is still super expensive today. It's been mass produced. It's been improved upon, and it's readily available. And we're talking about, so again, you say there's a technology. Well, we're talking about a computer going to a social media network, finding a location, a date, and a time, and then collecting all the pictures. That's easy.
But at the same time, we still have schools in Detroit, a big city, that don't have computers in them. That's my point. Not each
But you're the way you're thinking is, I hate to say it, is stupid, but it is. So you think the Detroit schools full of the black kids that they care about is the same thing as the police departments? No, of course it's not. They're gonna fund the police department, especially when it comes to making more money for the system and solving crime, which is supposedly their job. So to think again that I can't imagine what you think this program, this flash drive that you plug in, you don't even have to put the flash drive in, the program that you go to from your computer and then click download. I don't understand what you think would be so expensive about that little towns couldn't afford to do that. But that's silly. That's just silly. And when it comes to what towns and whatnot, police department can afford this and that, we're talking about money that is printed at will. If they wanted all of the police departments to have body cameras, they just would. The reason why they don't is by choice. A lot of these police departments, they don't want body cameras because they're committing crimes and shit. But it's like you have to, like, they make us stupid. They make our brains work in a way that we feel like we're intelligent, but we're saying stupid things. The reason why the government doesn't have 30-year-old technology, 40, 50-year-old technology is because it's too expensive. You're basically talking about like Facebook Plus. Just a Facebook program that's able to manipulate Facebook a little bit more than the average person does. Collects all the pictures from one day and one time and then puts them together. That's not, I mean, you could do that by hand and it wouldn't be that hard to do. You know, you could search this day in the parameters and it'll bring it up. It'll bring up pictures from that day. You search this day, Balboa Park, this day, this time, and you'd be surprised what'll come up for you. But that's how we, it's like that's why they give us these stories that just go in circles. Because it reinforces these narratives to us and we just regurgitate stupidity. And again, I feel bad saying it. I'm not at all calling my wife stupid. I'm saying that she's been programmed to say stupid things. We all have been. And until you you understand that and then reevaluate things, you're going to say stupid things like the earth is a ball flying through space. That is stupid. When you actually stop and you think about it and you think about the narrative you're told, the Big Bang and the gravity pockets and the swirling and swirling and swirling, like it's actually really dumb. And I've been saying this for a long time now. The more you know, the dumber you sound. You just don't realize it. A lot of times the smart people, they use big words or they speak about things that you don't really understand, you've never had access to, so you feel like you're inferior, you feel like you're stupid. And that's the point. That's why they speak the way they do. I've literally had it happen to me where a friend of mine, he gets care. Let the dogs in! He gets care because he's physically disabled, and his care person, caretaker, she was just dumb, just this dumb white trash girl named Debbie. Huh?
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Why is Nick outside with them? Why is Nick outside?
I don't know.
Can you go figure that out, please? He's trying to prove a point. He's not sick. Because he wants to play video games. If you said it's okay, you're going to play games later, he'd be fine with being sick. Don't say that. I'm just saying. But this is how they do it. And the thing is, most people just don't. Most people assume the people telling you are more educated than they are. And, they assume it's going to be too much. They assume it's a whole different story. When in reality, it's all really easy to see. Things should make sense. It shouldn't require these crazy, explanations where you can't understand what's being said. Truth is simple. Truth is undeniable. When it's true, there's no way around it. I'm holding up two fingers, okay? You can say, oh, well, technically you're holding up your whole hand, so blah, 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 and you've got a thumb, and... No, I'm holding up two fingers. It's the truth. There are variations of that truth if you want, but the easy, simple truth is those are two fingers. And that's, that's how you need to see all this. Let's see. So, Boole invented a machine that could record, develop, and project motion pictures. Just like that, on his own. He developed it, and then it was further developed by the Lumineers, who patented their own version on February 13th, 1895. The date of the recording of their first film is in dispute. Which, again, when you think about like all the things they try to tell you that they know. What was he outside? I don't know. Why were you outside? It's 8:45 in the morning on a day you didn't go to school, and you think it's a good idea to go outside. Yeah, I wonder why you're not playing games today. Dude, what were you even thinking right now?
Because he kept going back and forth.
Okay, so who cares? At what point would you think going outside at 8:45 in the morning on a day you're not sick is okay, let alone a day where you're sick?
Sorry, Dad.
Right, I know. Yep. Can we talk about Thomas Crapper? We should. We will. We will do an absolutely. We will do an investigation into Thomas Crapper, because that's important. When you look at the history of architecture and shit, not until Thomas Crapper came around did we know about toys. Did you see that picture I sent you, or that thing I tagged you in? It was a Mayan suspension bridge, and it showed how the Mayans had built these suspension bridges, right? And you go, wait a minute. But it wasn't until 1880 or something that random farmer guy in Pennsylvania invented suspension bridges. So what are we talking about here? Remember, instead of putting a bridge up, which is apparently something the Mayans could do, instead of putting a bridge up, sweetheart, they were pulling railroad cars with half boats on them over mountains using donkeys. Because that was more feasible for who knows how long than creating a bridge that one guy was able to do over a winter. I don't know if my lunch break has ever done the Brooklyn Bridge, or, see, the Brooklyn Bridge is strange because the guy that's supposedly that built it, when you look up his history doesn't give any doesn't say anything about the Brooklyn Bridge. Why would his history not contain the Brooklyn fucking Bridge? There's nothing else that he built that's on Brooklyn Bridge par. That's the thing, is like, that was easily his crowning achievement. And yet we don't really know. Like, it's really fucking strange. But let's keep going, shall we? We shall. The date the date of their first recording of their first film is in dispute. In an interview with Georges Seydoux, given in 1948, Luis, nobody thought to interview these guys in the first 50 years of them doing this. We're going off of this guy's recollection in 1948. Isn't this when he died? Wait, let's see. Yeah, this guy died in 1948. This was the brother that died in 48. The other brother lived to be another 6 years, but this one died in 48. So apparently, what the fuck just happened? Apparently, he died in June 48. Right. Yeah, he died in June 6th in 48. So early June. So somewhere in the first 5 months, this is the interview, right? Luis claimed that he shot the film in August 1894, before the arrival of the kinetoscope in France. This is questioned by historians who consider that a functional Lumiere camera did not exist before the beginning of 1895. Think about that, right? So not only did anybody ever think to interview this guy until the year of his death, when he was significantly old, 70 something, he says, yeah, I shot this. I remember shooting this in August of 1894. I bet he remembered that shit. I bet he remembered that really, really well. And his claim, it doesn't jive with the historical record. But again, this is, I mean, most of you have never even, like, I guess maybe you've given it thought, but you've never looked. You know, you never heard of the Lumiere brothers? You just sort of go, oh yeah, Hollywood. And like, you don't even think about like the narrative that we're given. I was watching My Lunch Break's video on Balboa Park. And they said that in the 1880s or 70s or something, the population of Balboa Park was like 815 people. So you just think like
Oh, this group. The crazy Tartaria group. Oh, is this what you? No, that's not what you.
yeah, that's it.
That?
The bridge. The Lumiere brothers saw film as a novelty and had withdrawn from the business by 1905. They went on to develop the first practical photographic color process, the Lumiere autochrome. Think about that too. Like, okay,
So if they saw this in 1880, why were they still using donkeys to go over a mountain?
pulling a railroad car with a half a boat on it.
They saw there's remnants of this bridge. They saw this. They didn't know how to duplicate it.
This is what I'm talking about.
Like, my kid can build something out of Legos. It might be amazing, but I can look at it and see the bricks used and recreate it because I'm looking at it. They can't.
I mean, not just the polymaths of the day, the people that were able to build Balboa Parks and all these other things. Like this is the thing with the narrative that you have, and you can easily look for yourself. You'll be told that so many of the most fascinating buildings and all that shit were built either during the Depression or before that. Most of them built long before we had power tools. Go look at Balboa Park. Go look at the columns with the grape leaf, the full grapes and all that carved into the columns. To think about how you could do that. I mean, it's just, it doesn't make any sense. We're not, it really is, it's insultingly stupid. That's all it comes down to. It's just insultingly stupid. And that's what history is, because we're told to believe that we were like these shack people. I always think of this cartoon that I saw one morning getting ready for school. And it was this Christmas cartoon. And it was about this little shanty kid. I mean, it was like they were so prominent that they were featured in cartoons and shit. And it's not like the shanty kid going to see the cartoons. So who were those cartoons for? What were they trying to do? You know, and you see this. It starts and it's a fucking winter blizzard, and this shanty kid with his coat with the holes in it, and you know his derby hat, because they all wore derby hats back then. He's looking in this window at this family that's enjoying Christmas together, and he's just kind of sad. And there are adults walking by him, not giving a shit. And he watches this for a little while, and he's like, oh man, and he goes back to his house, and his house is a little shanty, has a roof, has a chimney sticking out. It's a little one-room shanty underneath the Brooklyn Bridge. Oh man, they look so stupid. It's surrounded by all these other little shanties where you assume more kids live, more orphans. And so the kid, he gets out, he goes into a shanty, which has a stove in it and a bed and a little table. And he decides he wants to have his own Christmas. So he takes an umbrella and he turns it upside down. Uh-oh, come on, stop it. Stop it. Turns it upside down. Like he blows bubbles that somehow turn into ornaments. There's this cat that he rubs enough to get static electricity going, that he plugs the tree into the cat basically, and all the bulbs light up. And like he wants to hang a stocking on the wall, so he takes off his sock, but it has too many holes in it, so he like, what's he do? He takes his stove or something, and he breaks his stove to make a basin for the sock to empty into, and eventually Santa Claus comes while he's sleeping, and when the kid wakes up, it's not like he has a family or anything. He just has some toys and a hot meal, and he's happy as hell. Do you guys know do you know of anyone who was like, yeah, I was one of those shanty kids? How'd you get to the shanty? How'd you get the shanty? You can't say, oh, they just built it, because somebody owned that property. And where would these kids have learned how to build a fucking shanty? Young enough to believe in Santa, but capable of building a shanty with a stove and a bed and shit? Who were they renting that property from? How was he paying for the rent? Like this is. I love old cartoons because old cartoons give you a window into the world. You know, especially in a time when a lot of things, we didn't have color film. So a lot of it, the only time you saw color pictures of the way the world was is through cartoons. In cartoons, you know, it's, again, you see like outside the city, you'll see, you know, mud people in shanty. A lot of times they'll show slaves and shit. And these people are just the hicks that we're told everybody was. But then you have to remember, like, the oldest cartoons of Tom and Jerry or whatever it is, these are in cities. They're in high rises. The old Bugs Bunny stuff, they're high rises. Who was building skyscrapers back then? How were they building skyscrapers back then? How were they getting the materials to build the skyscraper? Oh yeah, that's made of some Indiana limestone. Yeah, but we're in New York. Oh yeah, they just took it along the Erie Canal that they just happened to build fucking magically. Ange and I watched a video about the Erie Canal, and like the narrative behind it is just dumb. I mean, it's not like you go read it and you go, oh, okay, I guess no. As much as I want it to be a conspiracy, it's pretty obvious this is what happened. No. You go to find out some lawyers, some businessmen decided to build the Erie Canal, and they just did it. And they needed to invent a new kind of cement, a new kind of concrete, so that it could be put in water and still harden while it's in water. And they fucking did it. And they did it with shovels and pickaxes and shit. Donkeys, more donkeys. I wish I could hang out with my lunch break guy because he seems like a cool guy. Like he has the same sort of smart ass tone in his voice that I do. But you'll never hear him bring up the Jews. Never. He might do it like on the side, sort of, like he might mention something, but he's not going to place blame anywhere because he wants his channel to continue. Can you relax and set down? Can I relax and set down? What's bothering you? Here we go with some shoot the messenger stuff. Like I've been doing a video for 56 minutes now. And because this person says something, I'm going to just stop. Well, here, let me tell you what's wrong with me. Don't watch the video that I've had no problem doing until you got here. Let's just stop what we're doing and talk to you. I'll relax and set down. Fucking stupid. Louise died on June 6, 1948, and Auguste, I don't know. On the 10th of April, 1954, they are buried in a family tomb in the new Guillotier Cemetery in Lyon. First film screenings. Cinematography, Luminaire. Poster for the first ever public screening of a film by Henry Brispot, 1896. So, we have that. We have the poster from the first ever screening. But we don't have, any details about it. So I always look at these and I go, okay. So every time you see one of these things, these people don't look dirty, do they? Like, imagine how much it would take for you to be that woman in the peach dress.
Right.
How much prep and primping and hairspray and bobby pins and, how were all these people doing that? All these top hats, all these aristocrats and shit like that. Are we just to assume they all just stank to high hell because they barely showered? Or bathed, I should say, because it's not like they had showers, right? Yet they were always, putting on their Sunday best. And they're going to a theater, right? Why were there theaters if there were there weren't films being shown? Like, I get stages and shit for plays, but is that what the theaters were used for back then, and they just all got converted? Because they all existed, that's for damn sure. What do you think? You think these guys look a little Jewish? What do you think? Maybe a little bit? They're French. But yeah, these guys have a very Einstein look to them, don't they? Don't they look like they could be related to Einstein? Get another coincidence, I'm sure. First screenings on March 22nd, 1895 in Gay Paris. Why does the dumb person ask me what's wrong, and then when I respond, they don't say anything? Why ask then? If you don't really care to know. Alien intervention via knowledge. I disagree. I don't believe in aliens. Which is strange. It's a strange thing for me to say because literally my entire life I did. Literally never believed in God and Jesus and all that shit. And aliens and like, believing in space, believing in planets and the universe and all that shit. And like, I guess I wasn't arrogant enough to think that if there's an ever expanding all huge universe with countless planets, countless solar systems and all that. To think that we're the only ones is, I mean, it's like it's arrogant on such an incredible level. And that was something I could never get behind. So all of my life I accepted the idea, especially with, all the evidence that was available when you compare the evidence we have of aliens compared to the evidence we have of Jesus. It's unbelievable, it's not even comparable. Why don't you believe in God? Explain it to me. Because it's stupid? I mean, again, this is one of those things. Explain, prove why something doesn't exist. It's not up to me to prove why I don't believe something. I don't believe it because it's stupid. It doesn't make any sense. It's obviously a Jewish control scheme. I know the history of the Bible, and at least I know I know more of the history than you do. It's all Jewish nonsense. Like it's used against us. It's bullshit. I mean, I don't know how many fucking examples you need of why that shit is nonsense. I could sit here and cuss God up and down all day and nothing's gonna happen to me. Why? Because it's not real. It's not real. It's dumb. God, Jesus, all that shit was created by and for pedophiles. They created that whole organization was created by pedophiles for pedophiles. Because there's no other, it's like, especially back in the day, in what situation could gay guys just walk around being gay? Not hanging out with chicks, not, dressed in a big flowing dress and not have to worry about any sort of scrutiny. The reality is the church is pretty much all they had. And it was a requirement of the church that you basically be a gay guy. And, if you're a gay guy that wants to fuck with kids, well, if you're not a gay guy, but if you have that homosexual predatory instinct, then the church is the best place for you. People are just going to come give you their kids and walk away and be like, yep, you're safe here. I know the last guy was known to touch kids, but this guy won't. There's literally, let's reverse the question there, person who doesn't like to respond. Why do you believe in such nonsense? Give me one thing. Give me one fucking provable that's kind of undeniable. Yeah, I guess that's kind of right. Like how undeniable it is that the church is the place that's most associated with pedophilia compared to anything else. Hollywood is a close second. But when I say the word pedophile, priest is what comes to mind. If I say, okay, tell me the first word that comes to your mind after I say pedophile. If I give you 3 choices, 99% of you are going to say priest first. If you're honest. So why do you believe in that? Why do you believe in that God that's such a big pedo fan that an entire organization was created by and for them that continues to thrive while condemning, while forever condemned gay people and still does for the most part? Go ahead and tell me why you believe in that. Anyway, this is what I mean. See, I end up getting distracted by this shit. All right. March 22nd, 1895 in Paris, at the Society for Development of the National Industry. Gotta wonder what the Society for the Development of National Industry was and how it worked. Like, think about it. This is 1895. Not sure when it was founded. Probably, you know, recently. Compared to 1895, probably within the last 40 years or so. But you have to think about like okay, so this society, if they decide to have a meeting, how does that work? Somebody decides they're gonna invite everybody to the meeting. So now all these invitations have to be handwritten and then hand delivered to places all over the fucking place. Where again, these aristocrats or whatever, they would get together, they would get their thing. I mean, you would have to send it, I would assume, unless of course we're using Angela's carrier pigeons, because Angela's a big fan of carrier pigeons.
They were brilliant.
Right. I mean, now that's going to definitely shorten your trip. But you would have to think like it would take weeks, and you'd have to send the invitations weeks in advance, which would then have to be RSVP'd, weeks in advance, and then you would have to get your Sunday best on, get your horses and wagons all spiffed up, make sure you have an extra, wooden wheel on it just in case one breaks while you're in your journey along the unpaved roads until you get to the giant super city that is New York or Paris or whatever. And then it's still dirt roads, but now there's city everywhere. And you at these events, with the valet would park the horses and carriages all in a line somewhere in a big field. Like, you just, when Vanderbilt has her house finished in New York, her grand, chateau that started the whole French Revolution in architecture in New York. And, the whole Vanderbilt's bullshit stories are just insane. But when the one house in New York was finally finished in 1883, I believe it was, she had it was $3 million at that time. It wasn't like $3 million by today's standards. It was $3 million in 1883 money. She had a party for herself to celebrate her house being opened. They had over 1,000 guests. How do you have 1,000 guests at a residence in 18? I mean, it's just. What are we even talking about anymore? Going back a few minutes regarding aliens, I think that if there are aliens, they are extraterrestrials litter from the extra land outside the ice wall, maybe another temperate zone like ours. See, so whenever we talk about that, and we talk about that idea that there are other zones in this thing, I have to pause because so what is this thing on? Like, I've seen that one huge map that shows like, what the fuck? Where does Thor come from? It's like it's an incredible map, and you wonder like, where did somebody just sat around and thought this all up? That's strange. I mean, it's amazingly accurate. I mean, it's amazingly detailed, I should say, this giant map. And it shows just Asgard. That's what it was. There's Asgard, and there's just all these other areas that it shows. And I can't 100% deny it. That's for sure. But then I just have to wonder, what is that on? What is this giant thing that we live on that's then like way bigger than even, the Earth that we think it is? Like, it has to be exponentially bigger than that. And so, personally, my personal opinion on what aliens are just the beings from outside the dome coming in and doing whatever they want. Whether they're, high ranking officials, directors, producers, whatever it may be, coming in to meet with the chosen who run the show down here, or they're just, I think occasionally what you see are like kids or resistance groups, whatever. Those are whenever you see like the fighter jets are being scrambled to chase something or whatever. I think that's an unauthorized breach, and that's what they're trying to prevent in that regard. But I think it's just, I mean, again, I try to use the least amount of faith, and I try to use the like make it make sense with the least amount of fantasy, right? And by fantasy, I mean, like what I'm talking about is a more advanced version of us just using more advanced technology than we have to interfere with their creation. So I don't find that to be extremely far fetched. I think if we get to the point where we can build these domes, and I think it's probably a lot more like Legoland, the movie, than we think, where there are these, it's like just like a tabletop. For all we know, again, it doesn't have to be this huge Truman Show sized dome. If they're going to be able to build a dome structure like that, I would imagine they're going to have technology that allows them to grow and shrink as they might want to. I mean, how far away do you think we are from doing that? Do you really think it's that far fetched that to think that shrinking and technology is more than say 1,000 years away, 500 years away? Like, do you really think? What do you think? How long do you think it's going to be before we can shrink things and make things grow? Do you think that's 10,000 years in the future, 5,000, 1,000? I mean, I personally, I would less than 100. I think with the way that we're advancing, I don't think it's that far fetched. I think they might even already have it. Right. I know they already have those invisible, those. I've seen videos that reportedly show invisible cloaking sort of technology. I'm sure that's something that they would have been working on this whole time. So to think like if I'm going to be generous and say that it's 100 years, it's 1,000 years in the future, I think that's generous. But to think that the people 1,000 years from now won't have little domes on tabletops that are wired with cameras and shit everywhere, and that one dome is a 1900 a 2000s dome, one dome is an old west dome, one dome is a old China dome with dragons and shit, and one dome is a Renaissance dome, and these are all different domes that people can click in TV they want to. I don't think that's that far away. And I think when for me, do I think it's more likely that we will be able to do something similar, so that there's a good chance that that's what we are, is something like that, compared to a Big Bang or a Jesus God narrative that are basically the same thing? I think the idea of the show makes more sense. It actually answers why. Why are we here? Because we're entertainment. I mean, it might not be glamorous, it might not be the special purpose chosen God shit you want it to be, but it's a purpose nonetheless. It answers the question.
Wow, that's creepy.
All your candidates belong to me. If you, I don't give a fuck what one you vote for. I own them all. Yeah, that's Rothschild, right? Or is that? Yeah, I think that's Rothschild.
Fucking creepy.
It's strange because it's like we all know that. And even if you don't know that, you
Chilling.
it literally, all you have to do is look up Rothschild. Just look up Rothschild dynasty. Spend half an hour, spend an hour, spend an afternoon researching what they want you to know about it. You don't have to go down any Alex Jones conspiracy theories. Just go look up the Wikipedia pages that you can find. Get it to the point where you can't click anything else blue and get information. And just see how much you still believe the narrative you're told after reading the narrative you're told. It's pretty crazy. It really does come down to like, what are you willing to do? How badly do you want to know what you're talking about? How badly do you just want to bury your head in the sand? And I part of me can't blame you because it's scary. But at the same time, like, you know, I ran into this one time out in the wild. I was at my physical therapy. I was at one of my therapists, and it was like a crazy heavy chemtrail day. It was just unreal to think like how anybody can exist underneath this and not even look up and think, hey, that's kind of strange. That you see, like, you know, it's not like this is what happens every day, but you're going to act like this is every day. You know, if some planes do it, then all the planes should do it. Why wouldn't all the planes do it? And so she's this blonde hair, blue-eyed, you know, she was a cheerleader in high school. Her husband's the engineer who played football. They have, you know, 2.5 kids, little white house with a white picket fence. They have a dog named Spot. Like, they are, you know, she has Tang in her lunchbox and shit. Tang and mayonnaise sandwiches. Like, she is all about America. She's a Christian, you know, and she's happy. She's, you know, she is who she wants to be. And I had this whole, like, this, it's like a lifetime of conversation I had in my head in like a 10-second span talking to her one time. And it was, like I say, it was real bad that day. And I sort of mentioned it. And she was like, what do you mean? And I just thought about it. And I thought about her family, her little towhead children, and you know, their belief in God. And I thought about how I feel when you know, she doesn't even notice it. How lucky is she to not even see that the sky is like on fire and she doesn't notice. Swallowed up by the fire, she'll you know, she'll fall asleep and she'll suffocate while sleeping and just get burnt up in it and blissfully ignorant. Never know whatever happened. And I'm gonna sit here and break that for her. You know, it's one thing when somebody wants to know and somebody is is trying to sort of figure it out because they see problems. But it's another thing when somebody is like with her, she's just doing her job. She's just making small talk that she has to make the job work. But she doesn't want to know that stuff. She doesn't want to go down the conspiracy, well. She could if she wanted to, she could do it with or without me. Yeah. Go ahead. I don't know, man. I got off on a different subject here. Going back to this. For the development of the national industry in front of a small audience, one of whom was said to be Leon Gourmand, then director of the company Comptoir General de la Photographie, the Luminaires, privately screened a single film, Workers Leaving the Luminaire Factory. That's crazy. I have to look all these things up, these blue things. Workers Leaving the Luminaire Factory in Lyon. 45 seconds. Here, this is the first film ever shown, supposedly. Can you imagine working in a factory like that? Why are so many women working in the factory? Why does it always look like it's so cold? Everybody's dressed like it's freezing outside. And this is Gay Paris, where everyone is supposedly like... Lyon. Lion. Stupid American. That's the first film ever shown. I would have said that was 80% women. Why were the women in the factories in the 1800s? I didn't think women...
The men had to hold the camera this big.
You didn't see it. Here, look at the film.
Let's see it.
No, you haven't.
The women leaving the factory film?
No, this is workers leaving the factory.
Oh.
Look how fascinating that is.
It's not.
No, it's flying fast. No. But look at the dress.
I know.
Paris isn't cold, is it?
Well, yeah. In the winter it is.
Is it same climate as here?
Yeah.
They get snow and shit? Interesting how the only images you ever do see of back in the day, I mean, even the people at the beach were dressed like it's fucking freezing. Can anybody, like, I love the idea, the modesty movement. It was all modesty. That doesn't make any sense. I don't care how modest you are, you're not going to put yourself in danger. Why would women go into water with riptides and shit wearing big, long fucking dresses like anchors?
Because they have to be covered up.
Made of cotton. All the way down to their wrists and their ankle. Like, come on, that's just stupid. That's stupid. So what? Who cares? Like, if you're, especially in a day where like there's not even the internet and shit. If somebody thinks you're a slut, who cares? They don't know you. You don't know them. They're not going to know who you are or anybody you know.
Will not stand for you being married to a slut.
The whole thing is just fucking stupid. So Leon Ernest Guillemot, May 10th, 1864 to August 10th, 1946. Man, they all basically live like the same fucking life, right? They're all born around the same time. They all die around the same time. Was a French inventor, engineer, and industrialist who was a pioneer of the motion picture industry. He founded the world's oldest operating film studio, Guillemot Film Company, and worked in partnership with Solax Studios. Okay, he founded the oldest studio, but it makes it seem like the oldest studio was one of a couple. So he founded it, and then the other one was found. How did multiple people manifest the same technology in the same area at the same time to be in competition with each other? Why wasn't this spontaneous technological thing happening in Germany or Russia or China or anything like that? Why? How did it just so happened it happened in France? And this, again, back in those days, worldwide communication was easy. Everybody knew how to build the same buildings worldwide. Everybody had the same. There was no, like, we don't know what schools they all went to and how they all learned all these techniques, but they all knew them. You didn't have to go to school. You could be a banker / writer. You could be let's see, an inventor, an engineer, an industrialist, and somebody who pioneers the motion picture company. Why not? Right? Like,
Who says you can't?
who says you can't? Those people exist today all over the place. All these polymaths today died at 82. Biography. Leon Ernest Guillemot. Guillemot. That's Guillemot, right? Gaumont.
EAU?
Mont.
AU is O.
Gaumont.
Gaumont.
Gaumont. Gaumont. Gaumont. Gaumont. Sounds like something Jonathan would say. Gaumont. Gaumont. Born in Paris, was gifted with a mechanical mind, which led him to employment manufacturing precision instruments. Okay. Born in Paris, was gifted with a mechanical mind, which led him to employment manufacturing precision instruments. Gotcha. Because in the 18 somethings, lots of that employment available for all those factories. From early childhood, he was fascinated by the technique of photography. He was born in 1864. Okay. So photography was obviously a well-established thing by 1864. When he was offered a job at the Comptoir General de Photography in 1893, he jumped at the opportunity. Boy, that's a lot of yada yada. He was fascinated with photography as a young boy and was offered the job of the general, or a job at the General de Photography in 1893. He was born when? 1864, so 29 years old. He's offered the job and he jumped at it. His decision proved fortunate when 2 years later he was given the chance to acquire the business. Fuck yeah. That's how that works. In August 1895, he partnered with the astronomer Joseph Vallet, the famous engineer Gustav Eiffel, and the financier Alfred Besnier to make the purchase. It sure is a good thing back in the day, like, all those people happened to hang out together.
I mean, yeah.
At their, like, fancy social clubs and shit, I would assume.
Yeah. The Skull and Bones meeting.
Right. This guy just hung out with the famous astronomer Joseph Vallet.
Yeah, because
Valois
astronomers
and Gustav Eiffel.
Photographers have a lot in common.
Eiffel. I mean, the guy that built the fucking Eiffel Tower, supposedly. Fuck yeah. Why not? Why the fuck not? Their business entity called El Gumont et Etsy. So out of Joseph Valet, Gustav Eiffel, and Alf Lesner, they decided to name the company after Gaumont. That makes sense. You have Eiffel with you. You're not gonna, at least mention him. It's not gonna be Gaumont and Eiffel.
Shut up, dude. We're gonna give you a tower.
Wait, what are you talking about?
We're gonna have a tower named after you. Fuck you.
Well, I think the tower had already been erected by now.
That it?
Yeah. That's why he was the famous engineer. Let's see, Gustav Eiffel, born in December 15th, 1832, died December 27th, 1923. Oh, he was the elder statesman. French civil engineer graduate. He was a graduate of École Centrale des Arts et Manufactures. Because, France in the early 1800s had a fucking engineering school. Why the fuck not? All those people living in all those shanties and shit like that, they went to the big giant massive Greek architecture school that just happened to be there, made of marble. And they learned from the teachers.
Yes.
He made his name with various bridges for the French railway network, most famously the Gabaret Viaduct. Oh,
What year did he make that bridge?
let's check that out.
1600?
No. You can totally tell he made it. Because doesn't it look like the Eiffel Tower just got pulled apart and a big section was used to make the bridge? He fucking built that.
Well,
I'd love to see.
He had his workers too.
No, we don't get to find out. The workers. Okay. The Garabit Viaduct is a railway arch bridge spanning Truyère near Ruines and Magri Saint-Cantal, France, in the mountainous Massif Central region. So it's really mountainous there. So before the railway line was built, makes you wonder how they got the supplies there.
Donkeys. Railroad cars.
Material, wrought iron. Total length,
Carrier pigeons.
1,854 feet.
They could carry more than this,
Width, 20 feet. Height, 470 feet up. The longest span is 541. Architect, Gustav Eiffel. Oh, this is great. Construction start, 1882. Construction end, 1884.
Okay, well, that's after the suspension bridge that took 8 months.
Oh, it's the same. No, it's the same time. Because it was 1883. Oh, no, 1883.
That was 1883. So.
I believe, yeah. Exact same time. Construction cost, 3,100,000 francs. The bridge was constructed between 1882 and 1884 by Gustave Eiffel, with structural engineering by Maurice Colquelin, and was opened on 1885. It is 565 meters in length and has a principal arch of 165 meters.
Fantastic.
By the late 1870s, Eiffel and C. Oh, so this is already. No. Eiffel and C. I guess that's what company, Eiffel and Co. But CIE. The company found. Okay, so no, this isn't. The company founded by Eiffel in partnership with Théophile Seyrig had established a place among the leading French engineering companies. Between 1875 and 1877, the company had built the Maria Pia Bridge over the Douro at Porto. There's that one. So where's all this steel coming from? This wrought iron. Where are they getting it from? This wrought iron that lasts forever.
Well, is that iron?
Yes, they say it's wrought iron. This one is 353 meters, so this one's only 1,158 feet. Engineering designed by Gustav Eiffel, Theophile Seyrig, Manuel Alfonso, Esperaga, Pedro Ignacio Lopez. Gosh, it's weird. The Esperagia and Lopez guy seem to have disappeared from the story. Construction started on January 5th, 1876, and it ended on October 1st, 1877. So about a year and a half it took to build this bridge. Wrought iron doubled hinge, crescent over the Douro River. At the time of its construction, it was the longest single arch span in the world. Today, it is no longer used for rail transportation and was replaced by a modern structure in 1991. It is often confused, blah, 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 blah. Oh, look. Yeah. You know how I'm always like, they don't have construction photos. Well, there you go. It makes sense that you would build a bridge that way,
No.
doesn't it?
No, it doesn't. I mean,
Doesn't it make sense that you would build a bridge like that?
they're welding pieces on, piece by piece, I guess, climbing up and welding them on.
I mean, come the fuck on. That's the construction photo you have? I mean, I think if you look, you can see that the bridge is complete in the reflection. It seems like it's just been photoshopped out. Look at the reflection in the water. Put your glasses on. That's interesting, isn't it?
I mean, it looks like a drawing, not a picture, so.
It looks like a picture to me that they just cropped a bunch of shit out of.
Looks like
And then here's a view of the Maria Bridge in 1887. So this is the exact same thing, a complete, but it's a drawing for some reason. Instead of taking a completed version of that picture, we get the drawing instead. That's the exact same.
The first one's a drawing. I don't think the first one's a picture. I don't care what they're saying it is, but I don't think it is.
Now here is, I guess, the modern version.
That's a picture.
Right.
Clearly.
All those old pictures where the sky, they have those vanilla skies in the pictures and all that shit. There's no people anywhere. You have to look, man. 1875, the Royal Portuguese Railway Company announced a competition. You gotta love it. A competition for a bridge to carry the Lisbon to Porto Railway across the River Douro. This was very technically demanding. The river was fast flowing and its depth could be as much as 20 meters, 66 feet during times of flooding, and the riverbed was made up of a deep layer of gravel. These factors ruled out the construction of piers in the river, so the bridge would have to have a central span of 160 feet. At the time, the longest bridge span was... it would have to have a central span of 160 meters. At the time, the largest bridge span was the 158.5 meters. So, I wonder if they'll be able to do it. You think they can make it another 1.5 meters big? I don't know. Of course, we have zero viewers. Let's try it. We'll have to reset. We'll try again.